Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's Dealer On webinar, How to Take Consumers from Search to Showroom. My name is Eliana Raggio, and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by Dealer On. And for anyone who isn't familiar with Dealer On, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, best known for our search engine optimization, our best-in-class customer service, and our award-winning website designs, including the newly launched Chameleon responsive website platform. We're so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service that Dealer On is the only company in the industry to offer a money-back lead guarantee program. So, the question is, does your website company guarantee you a 50% lift in leads? Well, then maybe you should check us out at dealeron.com. And we have a great show in store for you today. We're very pleased to have Jeremy Anspach as our presenter today. Jeremy Anspach is the co-founder and CEO of Pure Cars, which offers award-winning digital merchandising solutions that help dealers dominate digital by driving more showroom opportunities and optimizing VDP conversion rates. Detroit-born Jeremy has been in love with the car business his entire life. As a young adult, he founded and eventually sold a company called Servit, which allowed customers to quickly see what services they needed in the service drive, and as a result, helped dealers sell significantly more per repair order. Jeremy's unwavering vision, coupled with his strong passion for providing more relevant information to improve the car buying and ownership experience, now fuels the exploding success of the Value Intelligence platform, which includes the Pure Car Value Report, Trade-in Report, Smart Comments, and they also have their latest innovative solution, Smart Advertising. Jeremy is a highly respected member of the automotive community, and he can be reached at jeremya@purecars.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, don't worry, we're going to respond by email later today. Also, don't forget a link to download a copy of this webinar recording will also be emailed to you later today for your reference, and so please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. I also wanted to let you know that Dealer On is excited to announce their involvement at the upcoming Dealer Think Tank in Washington, D.C., August 14th. The Dealer Think Tank is spearheaded by a handful of dynamic subject matter experts and thought leaders who travel the country providing strategies, discussing ideas, challenging ideology, and creating solutions for real-world problems facing the automotive industry. The think tanks have been garnering tremendous praise for their intensely informative, fun-filled education workshops that educate everyone from the greenest of the green to the most seasoned industry veteran. So don't miss it. If you haven't gotten your ticket yet, well, Dealer On's here to help with an exclusive discount code that will score you a $100 savings off the ticket price. Just use the discount code on the screen when you register. And for more information, please go to dealerthinktank.com. And guess what? Our good friends at Pure Cars are giving away a fantastic prize today on this webinar. Only one of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win 2 free months of Pure Cars' new Value Intelligence platform, which helps dealers dominate digital by driving more showroom opportunities and optimizing VDP conversion rates. Value Intelligence seamlessly educates website customers on exactly how much more value your vehicle offers across trim level, mileage, certification, ownership, and reconditioning. This prize includes setup and integration, and it's valued at just under $1,700. But you have to be on the live broadcast to win it. All you have to do is stay tuned for the details after Jeremy's presentation, and you could be scoring this amazing prize today. And at the conclusion of the webinar, you're going to receive a short survey. Please fill it out because we're always looking for great feedback from our audience. Today we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all the completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. So let's get started. Let's learn how to take consumers from search to showroom. Jeremy, how are you today?
I'm doing very well.
Thank you so much for being here today. We're very honored to have you here. I know you're a busy guy, and I got to tell you, this topic, so spot on right now. How to get consumers from search to showroom. It sounds so simple, but it's not easy. And I know a lot of dealerships struggle with this. Please tell the audience today what kinds of things we're going to be learning about.
Well, first of all, I appreciate the introduction, and I'm excited to be here. Today we're going to learn about how to win the click and dominate your website, listing sites, and Google search, and how to turn clicks into sales opportunities.
That sounds like everything we need to know. Audience, I'm going to let you know in advance, this presentation is packed with information. Do not turn away from the screen. You're going to miss something important. There is so much information in this, and we're going to be speeding through this presentation. If you want to tweet about it, please use the hashtag DealerOnWebby, and if you have a question for today's presenter, Jeremy Anspach, please send it in. We are definitely going to get to as many questions as we can from you today. Jeremy, take it away. I know you have a lot to get to.
Thank you. Start off with, how do you dominate digital and win the click? And you know, it's funny, dealerships will come to me anytime I'm presenting, not on a webinar series, but face-to-face beforehand, and say, so Jeremy, how do you do it? And I'm always wondering why they're asking me before the session, and I like to respond back saying, look, you got to keep it simple. And I've even had dealerships will say, wait a minute, if it's so simple, why am I going to listen to you for the next 45 minutes? Just tell me. And I say, look, I didn't say it was easy. I think you always have to start with the big picture when you think about any good strategy. And when you think about a digital strategy, every single strategy, whether it's digital or non-digital, always should start with a goal in mind. And I like asking dealerships, what should your goal be? And at the end of the day, there's a lot of different things to consider. Over the years, I've seen dealerships say many different things were their strategies in 2014 or 2013 as it would relate to what they want to accomplish. I've had dealers say it comes down to Facebook likes. Others say, I just need more tweets. I need more Twitter followers as well. I've had dealerships say, look, all I care about this year is driving more website traffic. Then dealers say, look, I got thousands of unique visitors. All I care about is making sure that consumer spends more time on my website. And then I've seen more dealers recently say, look, I care more about VDP views. At the end of the day, a website shopper who leaves doesn't mean anything to me. But the more people I can drive to my VDP, I know I can get them into my showroom easier. And then I've seen dealers who say, look, all this doesn't matter. What matters most is phone calls, because I got a great BDC, and if they can get the guy on the phone, they can get him into my dealership. And then I see stores that say, look, what I care most about is appointments, because at the end of the day, everything I've mentioned so far leads to an appointment, and I've got a really good appointment set to show rate, so all I want to measure from a KPI is appointments. That matters most. And then what the predominant that I hear from most dealers is, what I want this year is more leads. At the end of the day, all of these things matter. But what matters most is, without a doubt, a strategy that drives the most showroom opportunities. If you think about it, you get 5 to 10% of your web traffic as leads, and that's being really generous. The vast majority of your web traffic, being 90+%, the biggest question is, how do you engage them? And what studies have proven is you engage them by showcasing more relevant information. And if you can maximize relevancy on your website and then turn all the dials to maximum, which in turn will drive you more traffic to your website, you will absolutely maximize your return on investment. And that is without a doubt what your focus should be in 2014. Now, to achieve these goals, you've got to start with the foundation. I like talking about the lead to showroom shift, as I call it. And I think, to start big picture, what other industries focus on lead generation? Well, first of all, the real estate industry. If you think about what's unique about real estate, there's several things, but some key differences between real estate and other retailers is there's no 9-to-5 workday. What I mean by that is, if my wife and I wanted to go look for a new home, we couldn't just go to a lot and see every home of interest like you could a vehicle. I got to contact a realtor, I got to contact a showing. Just because a house is on the market, I can't walk into it between 9 to 5 or some other normal business hours. Real estate is very unique, and as a result, leads are 100% necessary. This industry generates more leads than any other industry. Now, second to the real estate business is the insurance business. Now, let's talk about what makes the insurance business unique. Well, first of all, there's complicated quoting. I mean, if you go to a website and even try to find an insurance quote, generally you can't. You're forced to submit an inquiry because it's not really a product. It's something that has to be matched. The insurance business gets a tremendous amount of leads. But when you think about you as a dealership, you're not similar to the real estate business or to the insurance business. You're similar to a normal retailer. What I mean by that is, you have normal business hours. You have inventory on the lot. Consumers know you have inventory on the lot and they'd expect to be able to come there and see it. You make it easy for consumers to shop online. Nowadays, virtually every dealer in the country has a website and shows their inventory to some capacity. So the question is why are leads in our DNA? I think if you look back, and it wasn't decades ago, it was within the last 10 years, before digital merchandising was a major part of your strategy, what you'll find is that consumers didn't have relevant information when they went to your website. For example, your cars didn't have any photos. As the industry started to move towards more digital, your used cars most likely went from 1 photo to 3 to 9 to 27. I mean, let's face it, less than 6 years ago, a lot of leading websites didn't even allow you to list more than 20-some pictures. Odds are you didn't price your vehicles. If you had pricing, it was MSRP on new, and your used cars would say call for price. So less than 10 years ago, your website was more similar to the real estate business or the insurance business, where if a consumer wanted to engage you digitally, they were more forced to submit a lead. But as statistics prove, most consumers left your website and went old school. And what I mean by old school is they were forced to visit multiple dealers. But you see, in recent years, this has changed. Today, the consumer is 100% in the digital age. And just to prove this concept, I want to look at a little bit of research. For those of you who have been in the car business more than 10 years, I'm confident if you had an influence in your marketing strategy, you used a 3-step model. You had a stimulus. This is TV, radio, billboard, newspaper, etc. That would create someone to be stimulated by what you're showing and drive them to the shelf. And the shelf is your dealership. And then from here, your meet and greet, the test drive era would be the experience. And if you do these things right, you would sell cars. Well, Google has proved that this has changed. The marketing model is different today. The stimulus, being your TV, radio, billboard, etc., does not drive people to your beautiful dealership. It drives them to do online research that Google calls zero moment of truth, or ZMONT. And ZMONT is without a doubt what impacts people to come to the shelf. If you think about how you shop, this isn't going to be surprising. Lucky for the auto industry, dealerships always ask me anytime I talked about online shopping behavior, does it apply to me? And what's great about the book that Google wrote called Zero Moment of Truth a few years back is that the automotive sector is one that they actually did a cross-category chart of. And as you can see, more shoppers that are looking for a vehicle look at more sources than any other type of industry. It's 18.2 sources, and this is now up to 24. And the influence of what they're learning is second most impactful compared to travel. It makes perfect sense. If my wife and I wanted to plan a trip to Barcelona where we've never been, and my wife sent me a few hotels to check out, and one of them had 2 stars, I wouldn't go. It would be out of the question. And then if I saw 2 hotels that had 4 stars, which intrigued me, I would start looking at other research. And based on what I would learn is absolutely what would determine if I was going to stay there. You see, 18.2 sources, or what most recently is 24, sounds like a lot. But when you think about what the consumer looks at, it's really not a Carfax report or a Pure Cars Value report or looking up your rating with the BBB or looking at reviews on sites like Google or reading your community activism blog. You see, that's 5 or 6 things in 20 seconds. What they're learning is what motivates them the most to buy. In fact, they're motivated more by what they're learning than all of your advertising. And they're learning, and what they're learning is more impactful than your multi-million-dollar dealership. So it's absolutely critical to realize and embrace the way consumers are learning and make sure you maximize your strategy. Now, for those of you who have not read Zero Moment of Truth, it's a short read. It's something that you can download. It's an ebook to a Kindle, iPad, or just a PDF and read it. And if you touch marketing or digital in any way, which I'm confident the vast majority of you do, if you have not read this book, download a free copy. Just go to Google and type in ZMONT. Why am I showing this to you? Look, the bottom line is consumers are learning. And as a result, all of you on the call have reacted. And you're absolutely focused on digital, and that's why you're participating in this webinar, which is great. Whether dealerships started to react over the last 10 years in a proactive or reactive way is somewhat irrelevant. What matters most is today dealerships know that if they can list their inventory faster, they generate more opportunities. If they take more quality photos, the result of doing this has been more opportunities. If the dealership has no comments or generic comments and can write good comments, the result has been more opportunities. And this isn't new news. But one big thing that's changed in the last 10 years is pricing. Less than 10 years ago, over 95% of cars were not priced online. Today it is the exact opposite. Almost every vehicle is priced online. And by doing this, dealerships needed a way to stay competitive, so pricing tools came into play, which are valuable things to have. And by doing this properly and pricing competitively, it absolutely generated more demand. But unfortunately, it suffered margin erosion because oftentimes the consumer didn't understand the value that makes up that vehicle's price. So the question is, should price be the main comparison point of vehicles? Now this is a really, really big topic. It's something that dealerships ask us all the time because we realize that value is more than just price. But I'm not discouraging a dealer from using a pricing tool because that is a critical component. One thing I like to always do is look at other industries, and one industry that I think applies most to car dealerships is just retail, online retail. And when you look at the #1 online retailer being Amazon, and you start to ask yourself, what are the key benefits? What are they doing to give them a competitive advantage? And is there things that we in the car business can learn from them? First of all, whether you subconsciously or consciously know this, they make it very fast and easy to search for a product. When you go to Amazon, there's no complicated user interface. It is really, really simple to search. It's almost as simple as going to Google and searching for a topic of information you're looking for or a product. Secondly, their search results page does not show all off-make products. It is absolutely showing you in-demand and competitively priced products, which in turn makes consumers want to learn more about the product of interest, which takes them to the product display page, or in our world, the VDP. Now, if you ask yourself what's on this VDP, what makes it unique, what you'll see over and over and over is leading e-commerce retailers think about one thing on their website, and that's relevancy. They want highly relevant content, and they even care about where it's placed. For example, in the car business, we've heard that what consumers gravitates towards is photos and price, and it's absolutely true. Amazon realizes consumers gravitate towards photos, so they show relevant photos. For example, if you look at a TV, you'll always see the front of the TV first. You'll oftentimes then see the side profile, since thickness is now a popular thing when you're buying a TV. And then oftentimes the third shot is going to be the ports. Consumers like to scan for information. They don't like to read information. So as a result, Amazon is trying to put in the photo arrangement provided by the manufacturer in most cases the most relevant photos. They understand that reviews don't only matter, but it at times is the most impactful information that will lead a consumer down the path to purchase. So they show reviews. They show good reviews, bad reviews, and everything in between. You see, they realize that consumer behavior is consumer wants to see what their peers think about the product, or the vendor for that matter. And they realize not everyone's going to be satisfied, but if most people are, they're pretty content. Even questions and answers. They don't show the newest questions. They show the most relevant to least relevant. You see, everything they're doing is focused on relevancy. They're focused on promoting the most relevant content first, and then below the fold, the more technical specs that apply to some but not most. They understand that they need to be priced. You will never see call for price on a leading retailer. You will never see, call me, you need to contact Dave. It is 100% transparent. They want to show competitive pricing. And in fact, they show you how they're priced to market. They show vendors that they don't even supply product to, right? They literally show competitors on the page because they know that consumers want to make sure they're getting a good value, and this is how they do it. In fact, they don't just show higher price, they show all. And the reason they can do this is because they have other unique value attributes. And they know that if they can make it easy for a consumer to find the right product, they can quickly educate the consumer on the value in that product, and they realize that value is more than just price. They will sell a ton if they can bolt on one more key component, which is always realize getting a good deal matters. Consumers oftentimes say they're looking for a good price, but the reality is they're generally looking for a good deal. And Amazon knows this, so as a result, they have Amazon Prime. They know that their biggest competitor is a large box store that's 9 miles away or 1 mile away from the consumer. And the number one thing that they have to overcome if they're competitively priced is they need to make sure that the consumer can get the product quickly. So as a result, they offer fast and free shipping. You see, even on Amazon Prime, they don't show the instant access to the Kindle titles first, which is another value-added feature. They show fast and free shipping because that's the most important thing. So how does this apply to dealers? It applies to in a big way because consumer behavior does not change when a consumer shops for a vehicle. In fact, amplified. It's amplified because a car purchase is the second largest purchase people make. People want a good value, and they realize that price is just a component. They want relevant information to help them make an educated decision, and to master the digital foundation and to improve your margin as a car dealer, you have got to focus on relevancy. And you focus on relevancy by answering the top concerns of a shopper. And to do this, you've got to realize that price is just one factor. Now, when Pure Cars was founded, we did a focus group. The focus group was really simple. We took 50 in-market used car shoppers that have all purchased a pre-owned vehicle before. We showed them two 3x5 cards. The first one said 2007 Honda Accord for $16,000. The other one said the same year, make, and model, and the price was $1,000 more at $17,000. We asked each individual one question, which is, which Accord would be a better deal? Now, anytime I show this focus group that we did to a group of dealers that I'm in front of, I always like to say, as a dealer, what would you say? And in sync, the vast majority of the people in the room always say, I have no idea. And I always crack up because it's funny, if consumers heard this, they would say, how is that possible? You're a car dealer. You buy hundreds of cars a month. We buy a car every 5 to 8 years, right? How do you not have any idea? And I always then hear, well, we need more information. We don't know the trim. You didn't tell us the miles. You didn't tell us the color. You didn't tell us the options. You didn't tell us how much reconditioning was done, which all makes perfect sense. I asked this group of dealers, and I've asked this to hundreds and hundreds of stores, so what do you think the consumer said? Everyone says the lower price car. In fact, our focus group showed 49 out of the 50 people said. Now what's funny is one individual said, I don't know. So I asked this individual, why? He said, I don't know enough about the vehicle. I haven't seen a Carfax. I haven't seen what was done to the vehicle, etc. And I said, curious, what do you do for a living? He said, I'm in the insurance business, but I sold cars in college. The reason the consumer, we believed, gravitated towards price is because they didn't see any other relevant information. So we went back and asked one more question. And the question we asked was, what if that higher price car had new tires, had new brakes, had a 30,000 mile service done, had great things like navigation and leather? Would you still have picked that vehicle for $1,000 less? And now when I ask the audience of car dealers, what do you think? They oftentimes say no. Now, I wish I could say that every consumer said no and they pay more, and that is not the case. Over 80% of them said no. And what this proves is there is a small part of the market that absolutely focuses on price because they're price conscious and they probably have only a certain budget and they can't get past it. But for over 80% of the market, they're looking for a good deal, and if they understand that there's a good deal, they're willing to pay more for that unit. So what does all this mean? It means it is absolutely critical to show the value in a vehicle. For example, Cobalt did a study recently that showed that consumer doesn't understand trim. They're generally focused on a color. So they're looking for a red BMW 5 Series. So what happens when you have a high content trim level? Does the consumer know that it could have $6,500 of added value? What about things like certification which add value? And the great things you did during reconditioning? Or the fact it has low miles and that adds value? And even being a single owner adds value. If the consumer could see the value intelligence behind this vehicle and see how much more value there was, you would be defending your price a lot less because it makes your vehicle stand apart from the rest that generally are not apples-to-apples comparisons. The reason the consumer thinks they're apples-to-apples comparisons is because they don't have this great information in front of them. Now let's dive a little bit deeper. When you look at a dealership's website and you think about how do consumers behave, what do they look for when they shop? Are they focused on price or value? And hopefully, as you've seen so far in the presentation, over 80% of them are on value. Now, just to save time, we're going to focus on used vehicles. And not only to save time, but used vehicles is where most dealerships make the vast majority of their gross profit. It's exponentially more than new cars per unit. And when you look at the profit generated in used cars, this is a huge opportunity for a lot of stores and is where they merchandise their vehicles the best. So when you go to a dealership's website and you look at a typical homepage, I oftentimes see rebates or other things that make the consumer stay on price. They're showing deals, right? If you focus on price right out of the gate, you keep the customer thinking on price. When the consumer looks for a used vehicle and they get to the search results page, they see photos and price. It's not surprising that studies prove that consumers gravitate towards photos and price. As we like to say, that's all that's on the page. I mean, I have shown this slide to many dealers and said, can you tell me the difference between these two Tahoes? And literally the dealer will say no, except for its price. But they say that doesn't matter. Let's look at the VDP. So I say, okay, great. So we get to the vehicle display page, and I say, okay, it's got photos. Check, perfect. It's got a price. That's great. It's got comments. That's awesome. And it even shows options. So does that mean everything's good? And then I look at the options, and I go, wait a minute. This is a Tahoe for $20,000, and the first thing you could educate me on the fact that it has one touch down? What does that even mean? And I'm really impressed that it has a tilt steering wheel and air conditioning and body color side molding. You would never have a salesperson ever display your inventory this way if they had a customer in the showroom. And then when I click on options and I quickly see that it has four-wheel disc brakes and ABS brakes and an AM/FM radio, I am super impressed. I mean, this was right for me because it has a radio. Really, this is irrelevant content, right?
Well, it's got a CD
player. All right, I got you laughing.
It's got a compass.
I got you laughing. And this is not Photoshop. This is literally taking a website and looking at the options and just screenshotting it. And then when I say, okay, maybe I'm getting too technical here. Let me look at the Overview tab. I'm proud to know that it has a stock number. The content on the VDP is nearly irrelevant because it is so unorganized. So then I said, okay, last place I can look to try to understand the value in the vehicle, I'm going to look at its comments. So I get to its comments, and it says, attention, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point, call and ask for details. This dealership is trying to change consumer behavior, which they will not do. You cannot change consumer behavior. And that's the reason that the vast majority of website traffic leaves. If they don't see what they want, they continue down their shopping journey. So back to that question I asked. What is the difference between these two Tahoes after seeing the search results page and the VDP? And there's only one thing dealerships have been able to tell me, and I assure you this is the exact same thing consumers would say, and that is price. So the question to ask yourself is, how do you promote value in your vehicles better? Let's start with reconditioning. And I'd like to open this up for a poll question.
I think that's a great idea. Audience, we have 3 poll questions for you today. This is your first. Please check out your screen and please vote. Get involved. We love having your votes. The first question for you today is, on average, how much does your dealership spend on vehicle reconditioning per month? Please select one of the following answers. More than $250, more than $500, more than $750, more than $1,000, or I don't know. Did I say that right? Yeah. Okay, so audience, once we get a majority of the votes in, we'll close the poll and we'll share the results. And the votes are coming in fast, and gosh, I just love my audience when they get involved. These poll questions really let us in to know what's happening in the auto industry, and no better place to ask, I think, than my very smart, very awesome, very savvy audience that comes here every week. So now that we have a lot of the votes in, I'll give you a few more seconds and then we'll close the poll and we'll share the results. And I'm watching the votes come in. And Jeremy, I think you're going to be surprised by this answer.
Uh-oh.
Not an uh-oh. I just think you're going to be surprised because I'm surprised. All right. So I'll tell you what. Let's close this poll and share the results. All right, audience. 9% of today's audience said that they spend more than 250. 11% said it's more than 500. 30%, the majority, said it was more than 750. 23%, about a quarter, said it was more than 1,000. But surprising to me, and I don't know if it's to you as well, Jeremy, 26% of today's audience said that they didn't know how much their dealership spent on vehicle reconditioning.
Interesting.
Is that what you were expecting?
Yeah, you know, it depends on the audience. If internet managers are on this call, most of them aren't used car directors that are getting the ROs that were done in the service drive and negotiating. But you know what's great about the poll that you just took with the audience is that statistically the average dealership spends over $700 in reconditioning, and the poll shows just that. So it's great information, and I think this will be really impactful for every store here based on those numbers.
Great. Audience, thank you so much. We're going to have another couple of poll questions coming up to you in just a little bit. Jeremy, please take it away.
Thank you. So when you think that the average dealership spends over $700 and you're not spending your money to do reconditioning for no reason, because this is serious money, right? If you have 100 used cars a month that you sell and you're putting $700, which is on the low end, into each car, you're spending nearly $1 million a year reconditioning them. So what are you doing when you recondition your vehicles? And you're doing it to make your vehicle stand tall on the retail side, and you're also doing it to make it safe. But the vast majority of dealerships that spend a lot of money in recon, they're doing this because it's something ingrained in them, which is a really good thing. They want quality vehicles. But when you think to yourself that you may have a used car folder that you display to a customer in the room, and then you may have this repair order inside of it that's really complicated to read because it's written in technician talk. It says LOF instead of oil change, and it says, you know, TRER for tire rotation, etc. It makes it very difficult for the salesman, for the consumer to understand, but the intent is clear. Dealerships understand that if you show this information in the showroom, you have a higher probability of selling that vehicle. So when you think to yourself that you're getting exponentially more traffic on your website, way more traffic than you'll ever have in your showroom, you got to be showing reconditioning right on that VDP. And if you could digitalize your used car folder and quickly showcase the customer the top value intelligence attributes, what was done in reconditioning, promote relevant options instead of this alphabetical stuff, show great graphical options like this that are ranked based on market demand, because consumers not only want to see what means the most to them, but they also want to scan for information. And then for those who do like reading comments, instead of having a comment that says this vehicle has a 4CYL engine and an automatic transmission, it includes anti-lock brakes, center armrest, console, power windows, driver's seat, telescoping column, etc. It's nonsense. You need to be able to show the most relevant information right in your comments. And if you can do this well, you can focus on what drives them right into your showroom, and that is without a doubt relevant information. Now the reason we know this is that's what we do at Pure Cars. We do focus group after focus group and build all of our technology to help dealerships showcase the value of their vehicles across all platforms. And we do this by educating the consumer that value is more than just price, and we accomplish this by showing them the key attributes that make up a vehicle's price, which in turn drives more conversions and more showroom visits. And we deliver all of this through our value intelligence platform. We're one of the only companies that leverages over 1 billion data points to be able to showcase the key value, option, and reconditioning highlights to set your inventory apart from the competition. And since we have so much valuable data, we at Pure Cars knew we couldn't just keep this for your own website, but we had to expand it to listing sites and how you can engage customers in your BDC and even in your showroom. You know, when you look at your typical VDP, it doesn't matter on the platform. We find dealer on-sites to be among the best, and that is without a doubt the case. But There's only so much information a web provider has to work with, right? They're getting the data from your inventory. And as a result, one common theme between all VDPs is photos and price. And being that that's the main focus, the page doesn't show the value that makes up its vehicle's price. So anytime you have high content vehicles like this, you'll oftentimes lose conversion. And even for consumers who want to learn, they see this unorganized, nearly irrelevant list of options. We fix all of this by graphically displaying in a responsive design technology that will fit the new dealer on websites as well, the key highlights, like the fact that this particular vehicle is priced below market by $1,250. It also has over $10,000 of added value because it has new brakes, it has low miles, it has heated seats, it has new tires, etc. And again, back to this reconditioning, this is how graphically we can display these key attributes right on your VDP, which will set your vehicle apart from that dirt lot that the consumer may see looks similar to yours, priced less, meanwhile they're not apples to apples. Now for consumers who want to learn more, they're mid-funnel, they want to learn more, they're still in their research phase, they can do it by clicking on that graphic and seeing the all-new value report. They're quickly going to see the value intelligence summary. Like this is a Traverse LTZ. This is a great vehicle. And it's far better than a base vehicle that most likely is priced less. But studies have proven the consumer doesn't know trim. In fact, if you go to Auto Trader, it's very difficult to even search by trim. We believe the reason for that is because that's not even on the consumer's radar. But for the first time, we don't just show that it's an LTZ, but we also can now show that it adds $6,222 of added value compared to a base today in the marketplace. Certification, same logic. Low miles, this vehicle has low miles, which adds $607 more value compared to other similar vehicles in the marketplace that don't have low miles like this one. We do the same thing for upgrades and services that you would call recon and even single ownership. As the consumer scrolls down, they're going to see these details. They're going to quickly see what makes up that value intelligence. Now that we've educated them on the big things, it's time to show them value highlights. How is it priced to market? Is it certified? Is it a Carfax One owner? Does it have new tires? All of those attributes are here. No more unorganized, nearly irrelevant content. Not only is it organized and relevant, but it's graphically displayed because this is how consumers like to scan for information. We have full integration with Carfax. We show those things here. We even have factory warranty details, so if there's a high probability the vehicle is under factory warranty, that will show on the report. We're trying to show as much relevant information to keep that customer on your website, educate them on why your vehicle is right for them, and drive them into your showroom, since we know that the vast majority of your web traffic never submits a lead, never submits calls your dealership, and they literally are doing research and they walk in. So we show even more information like market data. We show recently for sale and sold comps, and we highlight what your vehicle has going for it that the others don't to continue to draw attention to these great attributes. Now, as great retailers like Amazon know, reviews matter. Now, I would bet that the vast majority of you focus on dealer reviews, which is great. But what about consumer vehicle reviews? We've partnered with Edmunds, and through integration, we showcase the pros and cons from their professional reviews, and additionally consumer reviews about that specific year, make, model, trim. Now that we built value in the vehicle, we build value in your dealership. We have integration with Google, Yelp, DealerRater, Cars.com, and Edmunds, and by default we show where you have over a 4-star rating, and this is all customizable, so we now can show customers what other peers like themselves think about you. And last but not least, we have a contact form for the very small percentage of shoppers that want to communicate this way. This is just icing on the cake for a dealer, but in reality, the focus of everything we do at Pure Cars is using relevant information to drive more showroom opportunities, and that's what we do on your website. Now, when you think about winning the click and taking search to showroom, search goes to listing sites. Listing sites then try to convert customers to an SRP, at which time you have a very small opportunity of winning the click to the VDP. If you look at Auto Trader, one of the biggest real estate areas on their search results page is comments. And if you have generic comments, you're at a disadvantage compared to smart comments. Now we realize that very few dealers have the time to update their comments every day as things change and have comments written the second the vehicle is marketed. So we created Smart Comments, fully automated, takes all of the graphical representation from our value report and writes to beautifully written used car seller's note. And that's how we help listing sites. Now you've heard me say multiple times that we don't believe that the number one thing we should focus on is helping you generate leads. And that is absolutely true. And I'm saying that as co-founder and CEO of Pure Cars. Our primary focus is taking the vast majority of the digital traffic that doesn't do anything from a communication standpoint, but end up in your showroom and give them more tools to absolutely drive them there. With that said, we do understand that you do get hundreds, if not thousands, of leads. So we wanted to leverage our value intelligent data and have a way of getting that customer more engaged to improve your lead to showroom rate. And the way we do that is graphically displaying these things right in an email, fully automated CRM integration with virtually all platforms. And by doing this, we can further incentivize that customer to stop shopping. Dealerships think that the consumer closes their screen right after they submit a lead, but if that was the case, your lead to showroom show rate would be higher, right? Appointment set versus show and lead to appointment set, there's always drop off. This is one way to protect that and improve it. So now at this point, let's talk about your BDC. Research has proven the top 3 reasons why your BDC doesn't convert a digital or phone call into the showroom. First and foremost, a poor word track. One of the top questions asked is, what's your best price? The answer is often, are you available at $12.15 for a hassle-free test drive? It's nearly irrelevant. Second, customer will say, hey, I'm interested in this specific vehicle. Tell me more about it. The BDC is armed with that same unorganized, nearly irrelevant content on most VDPs, and as a result, their word track may even avoid the question. And then lastly, if they do set an appointment, that doesn't mean the customer is not shopping. It just means that they're still semi-interested. And by them not having a way of quickly sending relevant information, you lose them. We take our value intelligence information and we created a showroom app. And that showroom app can help your BDC see all of your inventory instantly with no load time. None whatsoever. Once it's loaded, you can actually turn your internet off and the whole tool will work perfectly. It not only works on a desktop, laptop, iPad, you name it, it works on most devices. And what's amazing is the BDC can now filter based on third row seating and based on things like the value intelligence attributes and body type instantly, no load time, no delays. They can even compare vehicles and most importantly, send this information as a text message or as an email right to that shopper to further increase your probability of getting them in the showroom. Now let's talk about what we can do once they're there. Once they're in your showroom, the number one reason they leave is because your staff has a lack of product knowledge. In fact, 27% of all people who leave, that's why. The second reason is the consumer feels the need to keep shopping. They're shopping because they're not shown enough market data to justify price. And then lastly, they literally believe the vehicle they saw is priced too high because the salesperson didn't build value in that vehicle. And our showroom app, just like it gives the BDC intelligence, it gives that same intelligence right to everyone in the showroom, whether it's on their computer or iPad. And by them being more educated, they can overcome these top concerns and make the customer feel at ease and help you sell more vehicles as a result. Now, everything we do is responsive design. One thing we love about Dealer On is they're moving to responsive design websites, and we've been working with them on the integration side because this is exactly what needs to happen, right? The consumer has multiple screen sizes. I know people with an iPhone, an Android, an iPad, a laptop, a desktop, big screen, etc. So responsive design makes it easy so all of that collateral is the same. Everything we do is responsive design. Even our email autoresponder is responsive, so it looks great on an iPhone. Secondly, everything we do is high-resolution imaging, and it's mobile accessible. So that concludes the first part of the presentation, which is how do you maximize the traffic you have? And if I could summarize it, it's with more relevant information. Now let's talk about how you can be smarter, be more relevant, and really dominate your digital strategy, and it all starts with search. When you think about what Google was founded on, Their premise was they could make it better, easier, and quicker to find relevant information. I would bet the vast majority of us on the call today use Google like myself. And when I searched for something the first time I used it and I saw that the results were relevant, I never turned back. When they decided that they needed to offer a revenue-generating pay-per-click model like other search sites did, they didn't want to water it down. They didn't want it to be ranked based on just budget and bid amount. So what I mean by that is maybe I'm a car dealer in Orlando and I've got a lot of vans. So I'm going to bid on the term Walt Disney and Disney World because, let's face it, most people doing that are families. And I want them to see that the Dodge Caravan has a 329 lease special. In theory, it makes sense, but that's not as relevant as it should be. And since Google was founded on relevancy, every single keyword you bid on with paid search is scored. They call it Google quality scoring. And the three most prominent things they look at is how relevant is your ad, meaning does it match the searcher's request? Second, does it link to a relevant landing page that has all the information in that ad? Third, if there's a good click-through rate, which shows consumer engagement, you get rewarded by having a higher rank for a lower cost. Now, if you go to Google and Google quality score, you can hear a 2-minute video from Google stating the exact same thing or very similar with examples. This is not rocket science. Relevancy is getting rewarded. So we did thousands of searches, and we quickly realized that auto dealers were at a disadvantage because the paid ads that they were running were not as relevant as they could be. So we acquired 2 companies, did tons of research, became a Google partner, and built a relevancy engine. And our relevancy engine never guesses at the right message. So instead of having these boring ads that we like to joke and say blah, blah, and blah, that really are lacking a lot of relevant information, like you can see from this search, where I search for a used Chevy Tahoe LTZ for sale, and these are real examples. This is literally a screenshot. And you'll see that first ad says '07 Tahoe. Doesn't mention the trim level, so I'm going to assume it's not as relevant as what I'm looking for. The second one says Truckville. It doesn't even mention the Tahoe anywhere, and the third is talking about cars. What if the ad could look like this? Our relevancy engine never guesses at the right message. So we're able to look at what the searcher's intent was and show an ad with the most relevant inventory you have that matches the searcher's request like you see here. Even the site extensions are relevant to the searcher's request. Now, when you look at a search like this, use BMW X5 with third row. If I ask a third grader, what is the customer looking for? They would say used BMW X5 with third row seating. So if you notice, the first 3 ads mention BMWs. The first one and the third one mentions X5s. But what's amazing is Rick Hendrick BMW, the first ad, paying to be in the first placement, I would bet has an X5 with third row seat. Back when I checked it, they did. So why wouldn't their ad gain relevancy and have a further chance of winning the click? And the reason is there was no technology to date that could do these things, and we're able to do it since we have so much value intelligent content and have a relevancy engine. Our ads would look something like this. We never guess at the right message. Just to show you a few more examples. 2013 Ford F-150. Our ad would look like this. Some with nav, backup camera, and heated seats. These are the options that consumers are looking for. Notice it doesn't say some with navigation dash system forward, slash 8-speaker sound. We understand every option and even have text for it relevant for paid search. The site extensions, again, are relevant as well. And our relevancy engine isn't just for your inventory. You can apply the same science to fixed ops, which is really important when you think that 39% of research is done online and they're purchasing offline. So it's a huge opportunity. So when a guy is searching for something like tire deals for my '09 Toyota 4Runner, look at what Tire Kingdom's doing. Generic. And they're spending tons of money from what we can tell. Why wouldn't your ad want to look like the one on the bottom? You'd have a much higher probability of winning the click, and that's what we do. Now here's another example. '09 Ford Explorer tire deals. Again, you can see, very relevant. So we've helped master the first component of quality score, which is the ad. Now the next question is, where do you land the customer? And when you think about it, the search results page is not always the most relevant. When you want to send them to a page that matches the searcher's request, and one thing great about the Dealer On platform is they're very high converting, and we've always had great integration with them, so we can drive the traffic back to the most relevant page. And one concern we've always had as a vendor when you're driving traffic back to a dealer's website is, what's the responsiveness? Is it responsive design, or at the very least, do they have a good mobile presence? Because this is really, really important. 47% of all automotive search queries come from mobile devices, and this came from Google. And what that means is mobile is extremely important, right? Because not only is roughly half the shoppers using mobile, but there's been a lot of studies that have shown that the engagement for mobile is actually higher than desktop. So when you start looking at mobile ads and the SEM being done for mobile, you may see a decent ad, but you click and you see a website on the left. And what's great about the Dealer On responsive sites that they're working on is you can always drive them to a page that you know the content on it, and it works on every screen size. It's actually built a landing platform that drives traffic here for web providers that are lacking in this area, or dealers that prefer it. But again, what's great with the Dealer On platform is with responsive and with a good mobile site, there's no need. You send it right back to their site. It's consistent. Now this is pretty crazy. So 47% of all searches are done on mobile, and 44% of all mobile searches are done while they're on the lot. It's so funny. I have seen a tremendous amount of consumers at a dealership negotiate. There's Foursquare going on and all the traditional tactics, and the consumer will say, I apologize, I got to use the restroom. And I'll be walking by them, and they have their phone out, and they're Googling best price on a 2009 Honda Accord. And they're doing their research to see if they're getting a good deal, because that salesman or manager didn't show them enough relevant information to make them feel comfortable here. And that's the reason that 44% of people are doing price comparisons on the lot. So okay, how can we leverage this information? Well, first of all, if they're doing searches while they're on your lot, it would be nice to have a paid ad relevant to your review, like, hey, we value price our vehicles and have over 500 positive reviews, click here, and land them to your review page. But what happens if they're at one of your competitors? Wouldn't it be nice if you could say it's worth a 7-mile drive to XYZ Toyota because we beat all prices by at least $500, vehicles that are inbound, not yet on our website? You get the idea. We created pay-per-click geofencing to be able to allow dealerships to be very strategic with how they want to conquest. As a result, from all of our efforts, we're getting 10 out of 10 quality scores on a lot of keywords, and we've seen a good lift in quality because we're never guessing at the right message. So that's the first component about how you dominate digital. The next component is retargeting. Same logic applies here. We never guess at the right message, and I want to open this up to one more poll question.
All right, audience, we have another poll question for you, and it's on the screen now. We're curious, what does your digital spend currently include? Now, for this question, please select all that apply. So, if you spend on pay-per-click, retargeting, display, mobile, or maybe a few of those, or maybe only one of those, or two of those, hey, let us know. Pick all that apply. And then we also, of course, have the option at the very bottom, which is none of the above. You don't have anything that includes pay-per-click, retargeting, display, or mobile. So we want to know, once we get a majority of the votes, we'll close this poll and share the results. Come on, audience. I know you're out there. Let me see those votes. I'm greedy today. And Jeremy, I hope you're getting a drink because you're doing a lot of talking. You must be drinking. Okay, so audience, thank you so much. We're going to close this poll in just another couple seconds. We very much appreciate your votes. Jeremy, if you're ready for the answers from our audience, I'm ready to show them to you. Jeremy, did I lose you? Hello? hopefully we'll get Jeremy back. But while we're doing that, let's close this poll and share the results. All right, audience, 79% of you said that you currently spend money every month on pay-per-click. 72% of you said retargeting gets your books. 77% of you said it's display that you like to spend your money on. Another 79% of you said mobile is where it's at. And 8% of you said none of the above. Thank you so much for your votes. And let's see if we can get Jeremy back. Jeremy, are you there? Jeremy? Hello? Hello? Oh gosh, I hope we didn't lose him. Uh-oh, what happened now? Uh-oh, I think we might have lost him. Hold on, audience, you stay right there. Yep, we lost Jeremy, so hold on one second. We're going to have to get him back, audience, all right? All right, audience, they're telling me that they lost us. Jeremy's coming back in now. Thank you for your patience. I really do appreciate it. And Jeremy is going to be in here any second now. Well, you know what,
back.
Audience, we had a
We're
good
back.
run. It was a long time since we've had a technical difficulty. Jeremy, I'm so glad you're back. Hold on.
We're back. Don't know what happened on the screen. Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I changed you back to being presenter. Let's get your screen back up there. There we go. All right.
More time for the poll. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Well, I'll tell you what. I did close the poll. Let me share the results with you again, Jeremy. Okay. 79% of our audience said that they spend their digital money on pay-per-click. 79%. That's a lot. 72% said it's retargeting. 77% said display. 79% said mobile. And 8% of today's audience said that they don't spend it on any of that stuff. None of the above. So you're right in there around 72, 79% for almost all those four selections. Is that what you were thinking it would be?
Yep, it's a very progressive bench, which is what I expected. That's fantastic.
Okay, thank you so much for getting back here so quickly. I do appreciate it. Audience, we got a lot more to cover, so stay with us. And Jeremy, it's back to you.
We're getting down to the end here, so I don't going to be here for another 6 hours. But let's when you talk about pay-per-click, I think what's great apply is when you do retargeting and when you look at things you're doing in your digital strategy, one thing to look at is targeting. We have found this to be very effective because you do great conquesting. So let's say a guy goes to Google and he searches for a certified Honda Accord. You can actually follow him on the web, and you don't have to follow him on the web with a generic ad. What you really want to do is you want to follow him on the web with a relevant ad based on what he searched for. So if you had a Ford F-150 in your inventory, you want to follow him with that vehicle or similar vehicles because that will obviously increase engagement. And when you start thinking about conquesting, we see a lot of dealerships that leverage retargeting for this piece, which is great. And you can do search targeting here, but you also can do search retargeting with relevancy behind it. It doesn't have to just be a sales event. There are times for sales events just like this, but if someone is searching for a Sonata and you're a Honda dealer, you may have the perfect vehicle with the perfect lease special to go after the guy on the Sonata. So just a way of thinking about how to handle it. The next thing is, what do you do with site retargeting? So it looks like the vast majority of you on the call are doing retargeting, and that's great, but retargeting isn't always created equally. So if a guy is looking at multiple vehicles on your website and he hits multiple VDPs, the key is you really want to make sure you're hitting him with display that isn't just branding. There's a time for branding ads, but when the guy has a high level of engagement, show him relevant information. For example, price drop alerts. It's really cool. You're in vAuto or First Look or a product like that on a regular basis, and you're making price changes, but considering the vast majority of your traffic didn't submit a lead, you have no way of notifying them of this price drop. But if you're doing retargeting effectively, you can do things like this. And just to show you one more example, here's one more example of how you can use graphical display of highly relevant content in retargeting. So that takes us to the next piece, which is most of you on the call, which is awesome, are doing pay-per-click and doing retargeting. And the question becomes, how do you maximize your budget? So first and foremost, we always say you want to own your backyard. A lot of dealerships have tools like Market Master and others, and they'll oftentimes print the page and say, hey, look, here is where I'm selling my cars. And then we'll look at the paid search they're doing with prior vendors, and you see this like 30-mile radius around their dealership. Well, at times it's too narrow, at times it's way too wide. You want to own your backyard, and what I mean by that is you don't want to just show this generic 30-mile radius or whatever radius there is, in this case 20. You want to absolutely think about where are you selling your cars. It's different for new, it's different for used, it's different by make, it's different by body type, and actually adapt the radius and own your backyard, because you always have a higher probability of converting someone in a market that you're good at selling to than 63 miles away. Now the second component is, I have yet to see a dealer spend enough money to own all the available demand on search, retargeting, display, etc. So you got to think about, where do you want to market and what do you want to market? So let's say, for example, you're a Honda dealer and you take in on trade yesterday a used 2011 Toyota 4Runner, and your policy is, let's get it on the web immediately because it can't hurt. I got unlimited listings on AutoTrader and cars and my website, so why not do it? That's true. But what if it's the only 4Runner you have? In fact, there's a lot of demand on a 4Runner. So now when a consumer goes to Google and he's searching and he sees your ad and he clicks it and then sees a VDP with no relevant content, no photos, no price, there's a very high probability he's going to leave. So it's a vehicle. Dealerships should have the opportunity, thought process of, you need to be selective on what you market and where you market it if you want to maximize your budget. Think about new cars. Dealerships have reports like Toyota. Dealers always have these awesome reports that will say, like, look, I'm selling great with the Sequoia. I'm way over my sales objective, but I'm way behind the Venza. But I have a lot of inventory on the Venza, and I just lowered my pricing. So let's push Venza, and let's back off on the Sequoia, or you may only have one unit. And since it just came out, there's tons of search demand. Why would we want to spend all of your budget on the Sequoia when you have a product that you need to sell to get your sales efficiency up? You can look at data from providers like this, like Pump In and Pump Out, and get an idea of where do you want to conquest and what markets do you want to target. You can take your sales efficiency data by body type, by model, etc., and then you really want to focus on optimization. You don't want to just think of this as, hey, I'm going to spend 10 grand a month, 5 grand used, 5 grand new. You really want to break it down with the thought process of, like, what I would say a good old used car guy. You want to think about, what should you market, where should you market it, what is your floor and your ceiling and budget for that specific unit, make, model, etc. This is all really, really important stuff, because not only has consumer behavior changed, but a dealership's ad budget is not aligned with media consumption. The person on the left represents media consumption by time, internet, TV, radio, and traditional. And I think you'll quickly see that 5.4% is traditional. It's almost nothing. And then when you look at a dealership's ad spend, they're light in internet, they're light in TV, they're a little heavy in radio, but they're really heavy in traditional. So what we're already seeing is dealerships every year are shifting more and more into digital, which is exciting because there's more ROI there. But when you think about this, it's critical to make sure you maximize your budget, because that budget is getting larger. Now here's the last poll of the day that I think will be helpful as I tailor off the last few slides. Elena?
All right, here we go, audience. We want to know, how much is your dealership currently spending on digital advertising every month? Please select one of the following answers. Is it more than $1,000? More than $5,000? More than $10,000? More than $15,000? Or maybe you don't know. That's fine too. Please select one of those following answers. Get your votes in. And then what we're going to do is, once we have a majority of those votes, close the poll, share the results, and then you'll know what everyone else in the industry is doing as well. Thank you so much. Wow, these votes are coming in fast, and I am really shocked at these numbers. So I hope more of you vote. They're coming in fast. Jeremy is going to get a very well-deserved drink right now while we do this poll question, and we are nearing the end of the presentation. So if you haven't written in your questions yet for Jeremy, well, now's a great time to do that as well. Please send your questions in. And if you have been tweeting, I hope you've been using the hashtag DealerOnWebby, or at least tagging me in it at Eliana Raggio. And while we're waiting for some more of your votes to come in, you better stick around because we have an awesome, awesome giveaway today. You do not want to miss that. So let's close this poll really, really quick. I'm going to give you another couple seconds, and here we go. All right, Jeremy, here's the results from today's poll question. 13% said that they spend more than $1,000. 19% said it's more like $5,000. 23% said it's $10,000 or more. Another 19% said that they are spending the max. They're going way over $15,000. And surprisingly, 26% of today's audience, a quarter of today's audience said that they don't know how much their dealership currently spends on digital advertising every month. So Jeremy, I got to ask, is that what you were expecting? Were you expecting so many to be spending more than $10,000 and then also so many to not actually know how much of it was going towards digital advertising?
I did. When you look at just trending, when you look, where can you spend your money to have the highest return, which is how any good marketer looks. There's nothing higher than a referral, but it's very hard to spend marketing dollars to increase your referral business. So the next best thing is your VDP. How do you drive traffic straight to it? And digital is the way to get there with far more success than any other measure. So Elaine, I did expect it, and it's excited, and I'm quite confident the next feeds here will be impactful for the group.
Let's go to it.
All right, so this is something that I used to hand draw on a whiteboard when I present in front of dealers, and it's a funnel. And as I mentioned, it goes referral being the best, highest return, and then VP. And then if you go up, SRP, digital, direct mail, traditional. If you think about every dollar you have, if it became a grain of sand, and you took that sand and you took this handful and you started filling the funnel bottom up. That's just how it would work, right? Well, if you look at your budget, I would bet with a high probability that's not how you're spending your money. You're spending your money where it's sprinkled, traditional, direct mail, digital, VDP. But when you think about how should I measure success, how do I know what's working, you really want to think about probability. I'm not a gambler, but I couldn't think of a better image to show than this slot machine example. If I went to Vegas and I knew that the slot machine all the way on the left, if I put $1 and I had the highest probability of getting 5 back, versus the next machine over, I put $1 and I got high probability of getting 3 back, and then the next one I put $1 and I get nothing back. Where would I start? I would start on that $5 machine until it said full. I would play it and play it and play it because I got odds of winning. And then when it's full, I'd jump to the seat to the right and play that one where I got a 300% return. Why would I decide to play the third? I'm going to lose my money. You want to fill your funnel with anything that drives traffic straight to the VDP that doesn't guess at the right message to get them there. You have a very high probability of them. And when you look at some comparisons that some dealerships have shared with us, and this is coming straight from them, here are 2 stores. The first store being A on the left spends 10% budget on SEM. The store B on the right spends $47,000 and it's 19%. So proportionately more money and more percentage of their spend. And if I wanted to think about which has a lower cost per sale, it is store B. We see a trend line. The more a dealership spends on quality SEM, the better they have from a cost per sale standpoint, and cost per lead for that matter. Just to show you two more examples, store C and store D. As you can see, store C, 19% of their budget is SEM, store D, 15%. And as you may have guessed, store C has a lower cost per sale and a significantly lower cost per lead. Now, something that they shared with me that I thought was amazing that we put together was, when you think about digital marketing, it is targeted. Well, direct mail is also targeted. So what's the difference? Look at the difference in cost per sale. It is in $12,000 cost per sale versus $158 on SEM at store A. Every single store we have here in this example, direct mail versus SEM was game changing. So at the end of the day, Google, who showed us this slide, I think summarizes this exceptionally well, and this concludes my presentation, which is more relevancy equals more results, and there's no way to cheat. So that opens it up to questions and answers. Elena, do you want to take it from here?
Thank you so much, Jeremy. Audience, I know that was a lot of information and a great presentation. And if you haven't gotten in your question yet for Jeremy, now's a great time to do that. Please send your questions in. Before we get to your questions, though, guess what? We got a little bit of business to take care of. Jeremy, don't we have a really cool prize to give away?
We do.
We do. So, audience, it's that time. If you missed it at the beginning of the webinar, well, I announced that our good friends at Pure Cars are giving away an amazing prize today on the webinar. One of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win 2 free months of Pure Cars' new Value Intelligence platform, which helps dealers dominate digital by driving more showroom opportunities and optimizing VDP conversion rates. Value Intelligence seamlessly educates website customers on exactly how much value your vehicle offers across trim level, mileage, certification, ownership, and reconditioning. And this prize also includes setup and integration. It's a value of just under $1,700. All you have to do is answer a simple question about today's presentation, and the first one to write in the correct response is going to win this awesome prize. So you know how it works, people. Get to your keyboards, get ready. Good luck, everyone. I will also ask vendors to please sit this one out. This prize is only for those people who want to try out Pure Car's brand new Value Intelligence program risk-free. Only for those people. If you're not one of those people, then please sit this one out and step aside and let somebody else have a shot at winning this prize that they really, really want. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, everyone, here you go. Here's your question. Good luck, everyone. Early in the presentation, Jeremy mentioned the only 2 industries where internet leads are commonplace. Please name one of those industries. You have one of 2 choices. And, of course, we have a winner already. You guys are quick with your fingers. Quick. Thank you so much, everyone, for playing along. Let's see. I'm going to scroll up and see the very first person. Oh, my goodness. He even put both of them in. David Sharp. Sharpie, as I like to call him. Got him right. The 2 industries are real estate or insurance. He got them both in there. Congratulations, David Sharp. You are our winner today. David, I'm writing your name
Awesome.
in.
Congratulations, David.
Congratulations. Of course, we want to thank our good friends at Pure Cars for their incredible generosity. And if I'm not mistaken, Jeremy, did you want to give another offer to our guests today on the webinar?
Yep. So for anybody on the webinar, one thing we've always believed in is our technology. So we do a risk-free 60-day money-back guarantee on our technology. Anyone who wants to try the Value Intelligence platform can do it.
That is amazing. Tell everyone again, it's 60 days?
60-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked, for anyone who wants to try the Value Intelligence platform, which is $5.99 a month.
Audience, I don't know if it gets any better than that. So if I were you, I'd take them up on that. Again, Jeremy's email, you want them to contact you directly, Jeremy?
Absolutely, that's fine. I'll field it to the sales team.
Okay, it's Jeremy A. at purecars.com if you want to get in on that great deal as well. And David Sharp wrote in. He says, thanks so much. I'm at Elliott Auto Group in Mount Pleasant, Texas. Congratulations, David. You're going to be hearing from our friends at Pure Cars about setting up your Value Intelligence Platform prize. Congratulations. Okay, let's get to our very first question from the audience. Are you ready, Jeremy?
I am.
You got to put it on the slide with your mugshot on it, babe.
Oh, please. All right, there we go.
There you go. Okay, audience, if you have any questions, there's his contact information. That's how you can get a hold of Jeremy. But let's get to a few of these questions right now. We just have a handful of them. First question to you, Jeremy, comes from Kevin. Kevin says, how do I know what features are important to a customer? I'm assuming he's talking about customers who come to his website and they're looking at his VDP. How does a dealer know which features he should prominently display? Because obviously you were not impressed by the display of the AM FM radio.
Yeah, so it's a great question. There's a simple answer and a more complicated one, and I'm going to say both. So one is, if you look at your option list, clearly navigation and leather and sunroof is more important than AM, FM radio and ABS brakes. You also want to rank reconditioning very high, knowing that very few people, other than the 3,000 or so subscribers we have at Pure Cars, no one has been really predominantly displaying, if at all, reconditioning attributes. So I personally like to rank it with reconditioning very high on the list. Then I would focus in on value intelligence. So if the vehicle is an LTZ and that's $4,000 more than a base from what you can tell in market, then you'd want to describe some of that. And then ideally you want to showcase all of this graphically, of course, as well, since consumers like to scan for information. And if you'd like more information than that, I love what I do, and I'm talking to dealers every day, and I would be more than willing to speak to you as well if you share contact information with Elena.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Of course, if you do have a follow-up question, please let us know. We're going to get to just these last couple of questions because I know we're pretty over time. But our winner today, Jeremy David, he says, this is one of the really coolest prizes, and I think it's going to be great. David follows up with, does this thing work on AutoTrader and Cars.com?
It does. Our value intelligence platform in Smart Commons. So we will take the graphical representation from the value report and write a beautifully written seller's note, and this is all automated, of course, and send it back to your inventory provider. So then that comment is displayed everywhere your vehicle is listed, including major listing sites like AutoTrader and Cars.
Awesome. David? Oh, he already said great. He's going to have plenty more questions for you people over at Pure Cars, I'm sure. Congratulations again on that. We have a question that came in from Keith, and this was very early on in the presentation when I believe you were showing a VDP maybe, and he said, why is an LTZ getting compared to a 2011 BMW 5 Series? So I guess Keith is wondering how does one choose what car is a similar car to the one that a consumer is on looking at a VDP?
It's a good question. So when the designer put the deck together, those two slides didn't go in sync. So it's always, of course, on the same year, make, model, and trim. So I'm very, very, very pleased he was paying attention and picked up on that.
You hear that, Keith? You're a smart one. All right. Let's see. Oh, here's a great question from John. John says, well, let me see if I can pull this one up. How can I find out if my VDP is appealing to consumers? Okay, that's a good question. I mean, do you go in afterwards and look at, how much time they spent on a VDP? Or is it just as simple as, well, if the car sells, then you know that the VDP was appealing to consumers?
Yeah, it's a great question, and the reality is all of those indicators have some influence, but I always like to go back to what I would say meat and potatoes. look at it as a consumer. Does it show the most relevant information above the fold? Is it easy for the customer to see what you did in recon? Is it easy for them to see the key highlights? And if the answer is no, then the good news is there's a lot of work to do to better optimize the page. Once you have the foundation down, then it's literally A/B testing and there's no right answer.
All right. Okay, last question for you, Jeremy, and then I'm gonna let you go because we are coming up on 1:30 here. Elmer, hi Elmer, how you doing? Elmer wrote in, excellent, oh, all of a sudden we got a lot of people who wrote in. Excellent presentation, Jeremy. Can you name a few dealer sites who use Pure Cars technology or content on their website? So Elmer would like to see what it looks like, you know, in a real life setting.
Yep, I'll follow up afterwards and send out some links, and I'll have dealer on examples as well.
Okay, great. You know, we did just have a couple more questions from another John. John says, if I am spotlighting all of my used inventory on AutoTrader and I decide to start your platform, will there be any advantage to continuing the spotlights?
They don't really go hand in hand directly. If you believe your spotlights are generating you more opportunities, then this is just going to supercharge it. If it's really a question of is there more value in this platform versus spotlights, I think you would find that you always want to master your foundation before you just keep focusing on driving more people to a page that has unorganized content. So in summary, it's hard to say over a webinar whether or not you would replace it, but if you see value in the spotlights, dealerships generally are adding this on as a way to build more value in the platform with the value intelligence platform. And then if you wanted to say, should I do spotlights or paid search, that's a totally different story and something that we would be more than willing to look at your site and give you suggestions.
Great answer. And John, if I were you and you were thinking about it, I think, oh, he already wrote in, great, thank you. I think you should definitely consider taking Jeremy's very generous offer on trying out the Value Intelligence platform for the next 60 days, risk-free. I think that's a great idea, and you should definitely take advantage of that. Audience, if you want to take advantage of that too, then please contact Jeremy A. at purecars.com. Oh, he said he's going to be in touch, Jeremy. There you go. Got one.
Fantastic.
All right, Jeremy, that was a really amazing presentation. What a tremendous slide deck. I want to remind the audience, if you want a copy of that slide deck, email me directly at eliana@dealeron.com, and I will get that out to you later today so you can have it for yourselves and share it with your friends and colleagues. And I did record this webinar as well. I'm going to be sending that link out to you in just a little bit as well. And you can find this webinar on dealeron.com/webinars. Click on the link on the right-hand side for on-demand webinars, and there you can access any of our past webinars. You can also view and register for any of our upcoming webinars too. And also, this webinar is going to conclude in just a moment, and you're going to get a short survey. Please fill it out. We're always looking for great feedback from our audience. Let us know how you thought Jeremy did today. We're going to randomly select a couple of people from all the completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. So again, no reason not to fill out that survey. Hope you can do that for us. I also want to let you know, DealerOn is excited to announce their involvement at the upcoming Dealer Think Tank in Washington, D.C., August 14th. So if you're around that area and you want to stop on by, let me tell you, it's great. This is spearheaded by a handful of dynamic subject matter experts and thought leaders, of which you know the names of all of them, by the way. They're going to be traveling the country, providing strategies, discussing ideas, changing ideology, and creating solutions for real-world problems facing the automotive industry. Now, these think tanks, they've been getting great praise for their informative, fun-filled education workshops, and they educate everyone from the greenest of the green to the most seasoned industry veteran. So you don't want to miss it. If you haven't gotten your ticket yet, don't worry. We're here to help. We got an exclusive discount. It's going to score you $100 savings off the ticket price. Just use that discount code on the screen when you register. And for more information, you can go to dealerthinktank.com. And invitations will be going out tomorrow for our next webinar. And boy, oh boy, it's a doozy. We're going to talk about Google, plus lightbox advertising plus video pre-roll and how it could get you some fireworks. Fact is, in 2013, online video was the top ad format for driving brand consideration with new car buyers. So if you're not using video pre-roll yet to improve traffic, customer loyalty, branding, or sales, well, you're missing a pretty enormous opportunity. If your dealership has been holding off from trying video pre-roll, then wait no longer. The experts are here. They're ready to help. Shalini Jarawala from Google and Mr. Video himself, Phil Sura from UnityWorks, have teamed up to present a powerful one-hour webinar on how video pre-roll and Google's latest release, Lightbox Advertising, can drive swift and dramatic results for your dealership. This amazing presentation is going to focus on Google tools, video-enriched landing pages, website video strategies, and best practices that dealers should use to drive conversion and sell more cars. Not only will attendees hear from a Google expert and a video expert to drive the point home, attendees will also hear from a dealer group using these strategies and how it was successfully impacted on their operation. Don't miss this opportunity to hear how Google plus Lightbox advertising plus video pre-roll will help sell more cars. You don't want to miss it. Don't forget, Dealer On's weekly webinars are held every Thursday, 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, and 9 a.m. Pacific. And we have some amazing webinar subjects planned for this year. But if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars and our topics, feel free to contact me directly. Again, my name is Eliana Raggio. I love hearing from you. Track me down online. I'm everywhere. Google+, Facebook, Twitter. I'm on all the automotive social networks. Or you can email me directly at eliana@dealeron.com. Thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and I hope to see you all on a future webinar in our continuing education series. Have a great one.